beginning. So hopefully everybody is doing amazing today. And I was thinking it'd be awesome to talk about Ezekiel, if I can get this up. So we're going to go chapter by chapter. Cannot seem to get all this art on there, but hopefully you guys can see it. And do a summary of the book of Ezekiel. Hopefully it'll be engaging and educational. So if you're ready for a little story time, let's get into it. We're going to break each chapter down and we're going to go on a journey together. So welcome back, everybody, to Brighten-Up-Sunshine, where every day is a new beginning. Today we will walk through visions, judgments, and hope that rises from the ashes. So this is a powerful book, Ezekiel. If you've never read it, it's definitely worth the read, worth your time, and it will take you on an adventure unlike anything you've ever seen before. So if you guys can see this art, it says coffee because adulting is hard. And I thought that was cute. So, okay, so chapter 1 to 3, the call and the vision. A fiery whirlwind, four-faced creatures, and the wheels within the wheels appear. Ezekiel sees the glory of God in one of the most awe-inspiring visions in the Bible. God calls Ezekiel to be a prophet, giving him a scroll that he's told to eat, symbolizing that the message must be consumed and it must be lived out. He's warned the people will not listen, but Ezekiel must still speak. Chapters 4 to 7 is about the street theater of judgment. Ezekiel acts out Jerusalem's fate. Lion on his side, shaving his head, rationing food. Not rotating, but rationing food. Each act is actually a symbol of judgment. God declares the end is near and the land will face disaster for its detestable and it's idol is what it was idolatry, and that's what it's going to be judged for. So Ezekiel becomes a one-man play of prophecy. You can see that play out the street theater of judgment, chapters 4 to 7. And then if you take a look at chapters 8 to 11, it's the visions of corruption. See, Ezekiel is spiritually transported to Jerusalem. Inside the temple, he sees hidden idol worship, women weeping, and men worshiping the sun. The glory of the Lord departs the temple, and it's a chilling moment in the chapters 8 to 11. Yet God promises to give his people a new heart and a new spirit. Chapters 12 to 14 is judgment is coming. Ezekiel packs his bags and digs through a wall. Another acted out prophecy. God rebukes false prophets and those who follow idols in their hearts. There's no more delay. Chapters 12 to 14, what he was speaking of, he will now do. And then if you take a look at chapters 15 to 17, it's the parables of doom. Israel is like a burnt vine, useless and ready for fire in these chapters. A fatherless bride, 2 eagles, and a vine symbolize betrayal. So God calls out unfaithfulness and pride, but promises again to plant a righteous branch, which is pointing to the coming Messiah. Now, this is a long Bible book, but if you take a look at chapters 18, individual responsibility is what this chapter is about. The soul who sins shall die. Remember, the wages of sin is death. God makes it clear in chapters 18, no more blaming our parents, no more blaming our past generations. Everyone will be responsible for their own choices. Yet he pleads, turn and live. Chapters 19 to 24 is all about boiling pots and laments. It's a lioness loses her cubs and the people mourn. A boiling pot simmers and Jerusalem is like stew, ready to boil over. Ezekiel's wife dies in this chapters, but he is told not to mourn. It's a symbol of God's grief over his bride, Israel. Chapters 19 to 24. And then take a look at chapters 25 to 32. It's the judgment of the nations. God judges Ammon, Moab, Edom, and many more in this chapter, and even Egypt, for their arrogance, and not just that, their violence. The fall of Tyre is described with poetic brilliance in these chapters, and Egypt is compared to a great monster dragged from the Nile. Pride goes before destruction. Chapters 33 would be the watchman on the wall. Ezekiel, of course, is the watchman in this, and if he warns, he's done his duty. If he stays silent, he'll be held accountable. Then news comes: Jerusalem has fallen, hearts are broken, but hope begins to flicker. Chapter 34 to 36 is the restoration and the renewal. God rebukes selfish shepherds, leaders, and promises to be the good shepherd himself. He will gather his sheep and bless the land, and dry bones will live. He'll remove the stony, give hearts of flesh, pouring out his spirit. And chapters 37 is all about the valley of dry bones, the vision that still sends chills, a valley of skeletons that will be brought to life, a picture of resurrection, both physical and spiritual. God will breathe life into his scattered people. A unified nation would be coming. And then chapters 38 to 39 is the battle of Gog and Magog. A mysterious enemy rises, Gog of Magog. Armies march against Israel, but God defends his people with fire and fury in these chapters. It's a prophetic war, often linked with end-time events, and victory belongs to the Lord. Chapters 40 to 48, the new temple and the new city. Ezekiel is given a detailed vision in chapters 40 to 48 of a restored temple, perfect, holy, and full of God's glory. The river flows from the sanctuary, bringing life wherever it goes. The land is divided, justice is restored, and God's name is there. The Lord is there. So Ezekiel shows us that even in the darkest moments, God is still speaking. He is a consuming fire, but he also restores, and he brings hope, and he heals our hearts. And this is for his people, to stay faithful, to stay ready. And that's what we're supposed to do. That's what Ezekiel is about. So it's the wildest book in the Bible, one of the wildest. Revelations is pretty wild too. And if you read Ezekiel, it will blow your mind because it talks about all kinds of stuff. Like I said, chapters 1 to 3, the wheels of glory and the prophets born. See, God rolls up in a storm cloud chariot, lightning, fire, and creatures with 4 faces and spinning wheels. Crazy stuff, right? Full of eyes. Sounds like aliens. Ezekiel hits the floor. Of course he does. He's like, what is this? And God says, stand up. I have a job for you, Ezekiel. He then eats a scroll filled with lament. And he's no ordinary prophet. He's a watchman for a rebellious nation. Chapters 4 to 5, the street prophet. God tells Ezekiel to play with bricks and lie on his side for over a year. Read it. He shaves his head with what? A sword? What's the message? Jerusalem will fall, and no one would be spared. Chapter 6, 7, the end has come. Mountains tremble, idols crash, judgment hits. The end of the line is this chapter 6 and 7. God declares disaster after disaster, and Ezekiel's warnings become thunder in the ears of the people. Chapters 8 to 11, God's glory leaves the building. In a vision, Ezekiel sees the temple turned into a house of idols. Even the leaders worshiping the sun in these chapters. God's glory lifts up from the temple and it leaves the city. And the people didn't even notice. But God promises, I will bring them back and give them a new heart. Chapters 12 to 14. There's some digging through walls and false hope. Let's see. Ezekiel packs his bags and he digs through a wall. It's an acted out escape from doom. God exposes fake prophets and idols in the heart of his people. His message, no more delay. Judgment is now. Chapters 12 to 14. And then chapters 15 to 17 is vines and eagles and broken promises. God in these chapters tells 3 parables: a vine, good for nothing but fire, a lioness losing her cubs, and the vine that breaks its covenant. The message: you break your promises, I'm planting a new king. Chapters 18, you flip the script. And no more blaming your parents, because God declares the soul who sins will die, but if you turn, you'll live. It's about personal repentance in chapter 18, and God's mercy is wide open. Chapters 19 to 24, God's broken heart. More drama, lament songs, a boiling pot, and then something heartbreaking. Ezekiel's wife dies in this chapter, or in these chapters 19 to 24. And God says, don't mourn, Ezekiel. Why? Because Jerusalem will fall and there will be no time to cry. Chapters 25 to 32 recap the fall of the mighty. God turns his judgment outward to all these different nations, including Egypt. Every arrogant, mocking nation would be crushed. Kings fall like trees, and nations are dragged into the pit. No one escapes his justice. Chapter 33, the alarm has sounded. Ezekiel is called again. You're the watchman, Ezekiel. Blow the trumpet, warn them. Jerusalem is finally destroyed. Hearts break, but now the shift begins from judgment to hope. Chapter 34 to 36, the shepherds come. God is done with corrupt leaders. He says, I will shepherd my people myself. It's done. Then comes the promise, a new heart and a new spirit. Dead land would become fruitful again, and restoration would begin. Chapter 37, can these bones live? It's all about a valley full of skeletons. And God asks, can these bones live? Ezekiel prophesies, and the bones rattle. Rise, and they breathe again. It's obviously about resurrection. It's revival, and it's the rebirth of a nation. Chapters 38 to 39, the final battle, talking about Gog and Magog, and the dark mystery that these enemies rise to attack God's people. But God shows up in an earthquake, fire, and fury. Evil is crushed, and the world knows he alone is the Lord. And then it wraps it up, chapters 40 to 48, the new temple, the new river, the new name, and Ezekiel sees a future temple. It's massive, it's pure, it's perfect, and from it flows a river of healing, turning deserts into gardens. The tribes return, the land is restored, and the city is renamed. And, best of all, the Lord is there. So Ezekiel, again, is more than a prophecy. It's an explosion of judgment, and glory, and a wild ride, relentless. And it talks about the love of God. From dry bones to holy rivers, the message is clear. God does not give up on his people. And remember this, guys. As you go read Ezekiel, I hope you get the chance to today or this week, that you reflect on some of the hidden meanings in it. And remember, the sun always rises. I'll see you in the next video.